take this and how much this office needs to be supported.
The question,
Mr. Chairman.
the Doctor, the Right Honourable Ombudsman.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot let those issues go unanswered because under our constitutional arrangements, it is not the government that determines the funding for the Office of the Ombudsman. The recommendations are made by the Officers of Parliament Committee, which includes members from all sides of this House. Now, I chair the Officers of Parliament Committee, and as all agencies of the Crown, there is an expectation that all agencies will operate with the utmost efficiency. And just because agencies or departments seek extra funding doesn't mean to say that they should be allocated extra funding. I think I've told this House previously, for example, I run the Speaker's office on less than half the funding of my predecessor, less than half. Now, the Office of the Ombudsman has been allocated additional funding to deal with an increase in complaints. And the Ombudsman's office was allocated on a temporary basis $370,000 to help the office cope with the increase in complaints. It was not made permanent because there was no certainty that the increase in complaints would be ongoing. The Officers of Parliament Committee is now satisfied that that increase in complaints with events like the Canterbury earthquake are likely to be ongoing for the foreseeable future. And so that temporary additional funding of $370,000 has been recommended by the Officers of Parliament Committee be made permanent to give the Ombudsman's office the certainty of that. In addition to that, all the additional funding requested by the Ombudsman's office has been recommended by the Officers of Parliament Committee to be allocated in this next financial year, and that's the $300,000 that the Honourable Member Grant Robertson was referring to. And so I want the House to understand that it is not the government that on its own determines the funding for the Ombudsman. It is the Officers of Parliament Committee that comprises members from all sides of this House. That committee has listened to the representations of the Ombudsman and has accepted that there is a seemingly permanent increase in the level of inquiry required by the Ombudsman's office at present. And what's more, there have been additional functions allocated to the Office of the Ombudsman, and those have been funded. There's been funding allocations made to meet those additional functions required. And I just want the House to understand that in the current situation is that in this next financial year, all the requests made by the Ombudsman the recommendations have been met by the Officers of Parliament Committee.
Members, the question is that the report of the Government Administration Committee on the 2010-11 financial review of the Office of the Ombudsman be noted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, I understand the next financial review members wish to debate is the financial review of the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. Will members please turn to the Finance and Expenditure Committee's report? The question is that the report of the Finance and Expenditure Committee on the 2010-11 financial review of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet be noted.
Speaker.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, we once had a great